Canadian-born rapper Tory Lanez, known for songs Say It and Chauffeur, dons a controversy segment on his Wikipedia page that's longer than the rest of the information on the page put together. Lanez has a history of serious behavioral problems and patterns of violence as evidenced by recent assault cases and aggressive actions in various situations. He's also partook in his fair share of celebrity feuds, and at this point there seems to be no one on his side, rightfully. On August 8th, Lanez was convicted in a jury trial of 3 felony charges and sentenced to 10 years in prison, and today we're going to be counting down the top 10 reasons why he deserves it. In our number 10 spot is Megan Thee Stallion's assault. The reason that Lanez is in prison at all is due to the harm he caused to Megan on July 12, 2020. The two were leaving Kylie Jenner's house in the Hollywood Hills when an argument broke out between them that ultimately led to violence. Lanez was promptly arrested after the incident, not for assaulting Megan though, but for carrying a concealed weapon in his car, to which he posted the $35,000 bail and was released. Initial reports claim that Megan's foot injury was caused by glass, but this was quickly refuted by her Instagram, where she point blank said that Lanez had assaulted her, sharing graphic photos as proof. In October of 2020, Lanez was charged with inflicting great bodily injury, to which he pled not guilty and was released on a $190 bond. The bond was increased to $250,000 when the court found he had violated the protective order. In October of 2022, Lanez was placed on house arrest to await trial, which was held in December that year, where he was convicted as guilty of 3 felony charges. More than 7 months later, Lanez was sentenced to 10 years in prison. At number 9 is when he incited a riot at a 2016 concert. His ability to initiate violence is not new, but instead this has been a constant throughout his entire time in the public eye. At a performance with K-Camp on March 26, 2016 in Midland, Texas, Tory engaged in a conflict with the concert security guards, calling them names from on stage. The performance went from bad to worse when Lanez told the crowd to quote, "mess this place up" in a more expletive-filled fashion. Concert goers and fans listened to the rapper's orders and began throwing tables, chairs, bottles, and other objects at each other. Police were quickly called to the scene and security shut the show down shortly after. Multiple people were arrested that night, and the venue promoters considered taking legal action against Lanez for damages and human endangerment. At number 8 is his homophobic past. DaBaby has become infamously controversial after anti-gay slurs and sentiments of his began to go viral. His most widely known instance of homophobia was during the Rolling Loud festival in Miami, where the rapper used his stage time not for his performance, but instead to spout damaging rhetoric, not only likening diseases to being homosexual, but also implying that said diseases were dirty and celebrating those that were without them. Video footage of the tirade went viral and received unsurprising backlash, but DaBaby went on to dig himself deeper into this controversy by deciding to take to Instagram Live the next day, reiterating his backwards views. These statements obviously resonated with Tory Lanez. Not only was he on stage with DaBaby as he spouted homophobia and didn't take any action to stop him, but he also offered his support offstage. Lanez has also come to his defense on Twitter, questioning why rap has become quote politically correct, and that rappers always have the right to speak their mind. This commentary may be acceptable for things that do not directly affect other communities' livelihoods and actively dehumanize a large population. It's confusing why Lanez would decide to defend someone whose statements are so blatantly hateful and not just politically incorrect. At number 7, he used his child for sympathy in court. During the December hearing of the Lanez v. Megan trial, Lanez decided to bring some familial support with him into the courtroom, more specifically his 6-year-old son Kai. Entering the courthouse, Lanez carried Kai on his back, both with ear-to-ear grins. On the stand, he discussed how he and his son are a support system for one another and that their bond was unbreakable. Many have accused Lanez of trying to manipulate the jury by using his dad's status as a way to make him appear kinder and more caring. No dad who carries his son on his back can be an abuser, right? Well, it all came across incredibly insincere and an obvious ploy for sympathy points from the jury. If you were truly innocent, your testimony should be enough to sway a jury, and you shouldn't need to soften him up with the face of a child in the room. At number 6 is his past of domestic abuse. In the midst of the trial, Lanez took to Instagram Live to insist that he was innocent, saying he didn't at all deserve the amount of hatred he was receiving online, claiming that he has no past of ever abusing any women. However, soon after the stream ended, viewers of the stream went ahead and began researching Lanez's past. Online sleuths came across an article where someone who claimed to be an ex of Lanez was accusing the rapper of being abusive toward her throughout a relationship they had in 2017. The woman said she'd been dealing with physical, verbal, and emotional abuse for the 9 months they were together and found it distressing that many look up to and even idolize her abuser. She added that she had previously decided to stay silent on the situation to protect him as well as herself, continuing by mentioning that she had done nothing but show Lanez genuine love and support even when he constantly humiliated and embarrassed her in public. Lanez did not say anything about these allegations until the publication Shade Room shared screenshots of the police report to Instagram, to which he then decided to comment on the post, insisting that he didn't know the woman. At our halfway point is a more in-depth analysis charges of something else he was convicted of during the Megan Thee Stallion trial, which is owning an unregistered weapon. As per the TMZ report, law enforcement sources told the outlet LAPD detectives opened an investigation into Tory in July after he allegedly assaulted Megan with a weapon as she exited the chauffeur-driven SUV due to an argument that was had inside the ride. Back when the news broke, Tory was arrested but only charged with the possession of an unregistered firearm, as I mentioned in the 10th point. Now, the owning of an unregistered firearm within one's home is not a crime in the state of California, however, you will face criminal charges if you have one in public, which is what Lanez had done. This alone could have the offender in jail for 2 to 3 years, so even if Lanez had done nothing to Megan, he still deserves jail time on account that he did not have a license to own that weapon. At number 4 is lying about the assault of Megan. If there was one thing Tory did during this trial, he lied. On September 29, 2020, after negative responses to his allegations began to crop up to a multitude of publications, the rapper took to Instagram, making claims that the news outlets had launched a smear campaign against him, also giving the falsified fact that no verified publications have made a comment on Megan's claims of assault, accusing them of being biased, and questioned who was paying them to slander him. Then, in October of 2020, Lanez took to Instagram Live and attempted to poke holes in Megan's story, especially pointing out the fact and questioning as to why she didn't initially name him as the person who hurt her. Lanez's denial of the case influenced a slew of critics, fans, and fellow entertainers to share the doubt they had for her story, opting to joke about the situation, share false information about it, and display outright disdain for Megan. Even when she attempted to prove her story through posting a graphic photo of her injuries to Instagram, the masses still did not believe her, instead making wild claims of her doing it to herself. Not having the safety of a support system or even public belief in your claims is often how a becomes fatal. According to a 2010 National Intimate Partner and Sexual Violence Survey, black women are 3 times more likely than other women to lose their life at the hands of current or former partners. 40% of black women at some point in their lifetime are said to experience some form of physical violence, quite often in an intimate or interpersonal context. Megan has now become part of a statistic that millions of black women historically and contemporarily are a part of, and will serve as an example for how brutally black women are often treated when they come forward with claims such as these. At number 3 are his past charges of substance and weapon possession. In 2017, Tory Lanez was arrested in Florida's Broward County on substance and weapon charges. According to the Florida Sun news publication, an expired dealer's tag on his 2014 Rolls-Royce prompted police to pull Lanez over. In addition to the expired tag, Lanez lacked any sort of valid driver's license, which, if you weren't aware, prohibits the Canadian from driving anywhere in the United States. This was enough for police to issue a search of Lanez's vehicle, and according to a police report, they discovered 20 grams of a then illegal substance in his glove box. As they continued to search his car, they found an unloaded weapon in the center console. Lanez went on to face charges of failing to register a motor vehicle, operating a vehicle without a valid license or insurance, substance possession, and carrying a concealed weapon. As reported by the Sun publication, Lanez's lawyer vowed that his client would be fully exonerated once all the facts came to light, but facts were not what set Lanez free because he was released after posting a $1,000 bond. Our runner-up on this list is that he violated the protection order put in place to guard Megan. On October 13, 2020, a judge ordered Lanez to stay at least 100 yards away from Megan, as well as to surrender any weapons in his possession, according to the New York Daily News. This protection order also included that Lanez must not have any personal electronic, telephone, or written contact of any kind with Megan. However, this order was not respected, as on day 3 of Miami's Rolling Loud Festival on July 25, 2021, Lanez appeared as a surprise guest during DaBaby's performance, which was a mess, as I talked about before, but not only because of his homophobic remarks, but also because Megan Thee Stallion had just left the stage after doing her own set before he began his own performance, meaning that she was barely inches away from him. Lanez was then reprimanded by prosecutors shortly after this happened, which led to the bail being increased to $250,000. Our number 1 spot is about him acting up in court. During the December trial, Lanez had more familial support than just his son, as both his father and stepmother were also in attendance, and oh did they make their presence known. After the jury convicted Lanez on all 3 charges, Lanez's father, Sunstar Peterson, caused a disturbance as he began screaming to the court about how this was all, quote, a wicked injustice and a wicked system. His stepmother also joined the yelling as she stood up and started yelling similar remarks. Their screams shifted from anger about the court to their anger about Roc Nation, Megan Thee Stallion's management company. Tory Lanez was then reportedly handcuffed on the spot and let out of the courtroom, but the scene continued with deputies trying to get things under control. Before Lanez even left the premises though, he screamed, "Roc Nation, you will crumble," at the top of his lungs. And that takes us to the end of the top 10 reasons Tory Lanez deserves his 10-year prison sentence. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.